To the thump of music, through cigarette smoke and fake smiles, she danced, naively, hungrily, as if trying to fill a void. And he waited. Not because he was jealous, not because he didn't trust her. He waited because he knew a lie had taken root in her eyes. Too smooth, too convenient. That night, everything was supposed to come into focus, or fall apart completely. She came home late, smelling of foreign hands and club sweat. She smiled like always, pretended to be tired, but he already had her bra and the club's address in his pocket. Behind the mask of a caring husband was a cop with a predator's instinct. Behind the words of love, panic. And behind her tears, no remorse, just fear. He didn't just suspect, he had proof, and now a choice: save her lover or save the marriage. Hello, my friend. I'm so glad you stopped by my channel. If you're here for the first time, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends or family. It really helps my channel a lot. Please tell me in which city or country you watched this video. I value every one of your comments. So, let's get started. By the time I stepped inside, the tight grip around my chest had started to loosen. The evening had been a minefield of stress and unease, the kind of night I wouldn't want to go through again anytime soon. What I had witnessed shook me deeply, something that blindsided me completely. Then again, I suppose men like me fall into traps like this more often than we'd like to admit. But given my background in law enforcement, I should have seen it coming sooner than most. I cracked open a speckled hen, took my usual spot in the armchair, and began to wait. Waited for my supposedly devoted wife to return from her regular girls' night. How could I not? 10 minutes crept by, then another 10. Just as I started to wonder if her night had finally ended, I heard the key turn in the lock. This was the moment. Everything was hanging by a thread now. Come morning, we could be over. Or not. That all hinged on her next few words. "Jordan?" Jocelyn said as she walked in and caught sight of me. Her surprise was clear. "You're still up?" It was well past 2 a.m., so the question made sense. These days, I was usually fast asleep by the time she got home from her midweek outings. No wonder she didn't expect to find me waiting. I studied her, still breathtaking, even after all these years. She was nearly 32, 3 years younger than me, tall and graceful, with legs that went on forever, and a figure that could turn heads in any room. Her face held that same innocent charm that had once stolen my heart. It wasn't hard to see why men at that grimy nightclub would crowd around her on the dance floor. Naturally, they would want to touch her, to press their hands against that inviting body. "Did you enjoy yourself tonight, sweetheart?" I asked, keeping my tone measured. "It was okay," she replied casually. "Nothing out of the ordinary. Just the usual, fun, but nothing worth remembering." So that's the angle she chose. Just another harmless evening with Samantha and Julia. I watched as she started to shrug off her coat, then suddenly stopped, hesitant. Normally, that pause might have gone unnoticed, but I knew exactly why she hesitated. Under that thin little top without a bra, she was moments away from exposing more than she meant to. And now, I wondered how many nights she'd crawled into bed like that, without me ever knowing. "Going to bed, love?" she asked in a sugary tone. "At least I won't have to nudge you awake this time when I need you." She had a point. I couldn't say I had complaints about our intimacy after those nights out. If I hadn't already fallen into deep sleep, she'd rouse me. And if not, we usually made up for it the next morning. "Wait, Jocelyn," I said. She had just turned toward the stairs. "Before you head up, there's something I want to talk to you about." "Can it wait?" she asked, obviously worn out. "I'm wiped out. I just want a shower and some sleep." "No, Jocelyn," I cut in, my voice firm. That was the first moment she truly paid attention. Her usual flirty demeanor vanished. "Take off your coat and sit down." "I'm fine," she said, as she eased herself into a seat, keeping the coat tightly closed. "I told you to remove the coat." "I'm comfortable like this, Jordan. Take it off. Now. She recoiled slightly, startled by the harshness in my voice. After a beat of hesitation, she began unfastening the buttons, clumsily trying to cover her chest with her arms as she did. But it was too late. I already knew. She wasn't wearing a bra. I knew where she'd taken it off. I even knew where it was now, tucked into the pocket of my own jacket. Not that I intended to tell her that. I began laying it out. Told her how earlier that evening, my partner Travis and I were making our usual rounds when I spotted a car outside the Blue Gown Club that looked a lot like her silver Golf. That club, a sleazy haunt in our coastal town, wasn't exactly high-end. I asked if I could have been mistaken, since she'd told me she was just having dinner. Back then, I wasn't sure of anything. But now, as she stared at me in shock, brows pulled together, I could see she was scrambling. "The Blue Gown Club?" she asked, voice uncertain, like she was trying to place the name. "That's the one," I replied. "Think hard before you answer. What you say next could decide the fate of this marriage." Her face went pale. She reached out toward the table, like she needed something to hold on to, and her chest rose and fell quickly. She had stopped trying to hide herself in the distraction. "Yes, yeah, I remember it now, Jordan," she said at last, letting out a shaky breath. "It's a club, sure, but they serve food too. We've been there a few times before." "And dancing?" I asked, keeping my eyes on her. "Dancing?" she repeated, caught off guard. "Where is this coming from?" "There's nothing wrong with dancing," I said with a touch of sarcasm. "I just asked if you danced tonight." She didn't respond, just watched me silently, trying to gauge how much I already knew. In the 9 years we'd been husband and wife, I'd never seen her lie straight to my face. But now, she was backed into a corner, and she knew it. "Did you stop by the club tonight, Jordan?" Jocelyn asked, her voice shaking, trying and failing to steady herself. "That's something for me to know and for you to keep guessing, darling," I said with a hint of mockery. "So, did you dance?" she asked, her tone cautious, like she was fishing for what I might already know. Jocelyn shifted nervously, clearly weighing her options before answering. "Yes," she admitted after a pause. "We danced, a little. The three of us." I kept quiet, just watching her, holding her gaze. She exhaled heavily. "All right. We danced a lot. Almost the entire night." "Who did you dance with, Jocelyn?" I asked, keeping my tone calm. "Was there anyone who stood out?" "Different guys," she said vaguely. "Plenty of men were watching us." That much was true. I'd seen it firsthand. She and her 2 friends drew attention easily. Tall heels, tight outfits, bare legs, flowing hair, glowing smiles, and necklines cut way too low. "Was there anyone you kept going back to?" I asked again. "Someone who got more than just one dance?" Her body tensed, her expression shifted, but then she slumped back like she knew there was no use hiding anymore. "Cut the crap," she snapped. "How long were you there? What exactly did you see?" "I'll let that part be a surprise," I said evenly. I paused, letting the pressure sink in, then continued. "Tell me what happened tonight. I want every detail. Lie once, and we're done. But if you tell me the truth, maybe I'll think about forgiving you." She didn't push back. That alone told me she knew how bad things were. "Jordan, please," she begged, her voice cracking. "I love you. It meant nothing. We were just messing around. Maybe I flirted a bit, but that was all." "Then go ahead. Start talking," I said, my voice steady, though I felt anything but. Jocelyn took a deep breath, her face pale and drawn. "We got there, ordered some drinks, and the guys started coming over, flirting, asking us to dance. We joked with them, like we always do. I danced with a few of them." She hesitated, then added, "One more than the rest. But only because he could actually dance." I didn't buy that. I'd seen how they moved together, how close they were, how easily she fell into his arms, how his hands wandered and she let them. That's all it was, Jordan, she insisted. I danced with him a lot, sure, but he left around midnight. We stayed behind. That part was true, but it wasn't the whole truth. So you didn't leave with him? I asked. Leave? With him? She said, pretending to be confused. Why would I do that? She was dodging. I could see it. And even with my chest caving in, I still needed to hear it from her. The black BMW down by the waterfront, I said calmly. Her face fell apart, all the color drained. Oh no, she whispered. I said nothing. It wasn't anything serious, Jordan, she mumbled. We didn't do anything. I mean, not exactly. She crumbled, sobbing hard into her hands. How long has it been going on with Norman Justice? I asked quietly. Her head snapped up. You even know his name? She gasped. God, I'm such an idiot. I'm so sorry, Jordan. I gave a small nod. She didn't notice that I hadn't confirmed anything. With my background, finding out who he was had been easy. I could have tracked down what aftershave he used if I'd wanted to. After a long silence, I reached into my jacket and pulled out her bra, tossing it into her lap. Missing something? I asked coolly. She didn't respond. Then I took her underwear from the other pocket, balled it in my hand, and threw that too. This time, it hit hard. She groaned and buried her face in shame. It took her several tries to speak. She was shaking, crying, choking on guilt. Eventually, she looked up and asked, Please, just tell me what you saw. Everything, I said flatly. Oh, Jordan, please, she cried. I wish I'd never met him, but I didn't sleep with him. I swear I didn't let it get that far. I let her weep without interruption, ignoring her breathless cries of love and frantic protests that it had meant nothing, that she hadn't let it go all the way. I know, Jocelyn, I said evenly at last. I saw you two together. Then I added, and if you had slept with him, this conversation wouldn't even be happening. That line broke her all over again. She collapsed into fresh sobs, swearing over and over she'd never do anything like this again. She pleaded with me, desperately, begging for forgiveness, begging for a second chance. Pathetic. In the end, I told her I'd give her one. Though deep down, I had a feeling this wasn't the first time a man had gotten his hands on her. But those times? Those had been at parties, where I was also present. We were always drunk, acting stupid. Honestly, I wasn't innocent in those situations either. This time was different. Letting him touch her like that, it crossed a new line. Still, I convinced myself maybe this was the first time she'd ever gone that far. Maybe it had shaken her up enough that she wouldn't risk crossing it again. But I wasn't finished. I needed one more thing. One final test to see if she truly valued our marriage, and to make sure this Norman guy was just a passing thrill. I reached into my pocket, pulled out a small key, and tossed it onto the table. Jocelyn leaned forward slowly, picking it up with trembling fingers. What's this? She asked, her voice rough from crying. You don't recognize it? I replied. She squinted at the key, confused. Wait, this is for your handcuffs, isn't it? Close, I said. It's an old pair I bought online, completely off the radar, totally untraceable. She dabbed at her swollen eyes, still not understanding, waiting for more. When you left the club with him, Jocelyn. He left first, right? Then you followed a few minutes later? She gave a small, guilty nod, still avoiding my eyes. I didn't want anyone to notice us leaving together. Didn't want them to assume anything. And when did you get out of his car? I asked, though I already knew. I went back inside first, she whispered. He followed me after a bit. Is that right? I pressed, narrowing my gaze. She froze. Her eyes locked with mine, and then widened, horror dawning across her face. Her breath hitched. One hand flew to her mouth. He didn't come back, she said in a panic. We waited 30 minutes, but he never showed. We even went outside. His car was still there. but he was gone. I gave her a tight-lipped smile. There was no comfort in it, just cold truth. I didn't say anything else. I let the silence do the work. Then the realization hit her like a blow to the chest. "Oh my God," she breathed. "Jordan, what did you do? What did you do to Norman?" I leaned back slightly. "Once he walked out," I said. "Travis and I followed him. He didn't know what hit him. Thought we were cops busting him for indecent behavior or something. We cuffed him, dragged him behind the breakwater and down to the beach, then chained him to one of the old pier posts." I didn't stop there. Travis taped his mouth shut. After that, we told him who we really were. Her head snapped up. "Travis? Wait, Travis was involved?" She looked shaken, completely stunned. "Travis is the one who uncovered it all first," I said. "His wife, Janelle, your friend, she was also sleeping with Norman. It had been going on for half a year. Travis tracked him, and then noticed Norman was circling you too. So, if I had a grudge," I continued, "Travis had even more reason to hate the guy." "You bastard," she muttered, her voice cracking. "It was Janelle who introduced us. I had no idea they were involved." Tears welled up again. "What are you planning now, Jordan? Leave him out there all night?" "It's a little more complicated than that," I said, steeling myself. "The spot we left him, the tide comes in." Her face went pale. She didn't even blink. "And when it does," I said slowly, "the water rises a foot above his head." She sat frozen, mouth agape, unable to speak. A faint whimper escaped her lips. "You wouldn't really let him drown," she whispered. "Tell me you're not serious. That would be murder." "In my view," I said quietly, checking my watch, "he's got one chance." By now the water's probably touching his ankles. In 40 minutes it'll be over. And from here, it's a 20-minute drive to the beach. Still, she didn't move. "If he matters that much to you," I said softly, "go save him. But understand, if you walk out that door, we're finished. I'll be gone, or I'll turn myself in. But if you stay here, if you stay by my side, I'll forgive you. We'll bury this whole thing." She didn't respond, just sat there shaking, the key still clutched tight in her hand. Innocent? Not even close. 10 minutes left, Jocelyn," I said after a long silence. And that's when I saw it. The truth, laid bare. She sat there frozen, trembling violently, her eyes dry, not a tear left. She didn't even ask if I was bluffing. That's how guilty she was. And for the record, Travis and I pulled Norman out of his car and beat him senseless. He'll never forget it. Next time he spots one of our wives at a bar, he'll be sprinting for the exit, assuming he ever walks into one again. Dancing? That's out of the question. He screamed like a wounded animal when we dangled him upside down over the seawall. And just for the record, despite what I told Jocelyn, the tide was rising. Being chained up with both legs broken isn't what you'd call an ideal position. "There are 5 minutes left," I yelled toward her, my voice sharp with urgency, but she didn't budge. Jocelyn turned her head slowly, casting a hesitant look in my direction. She forced a faint smile, thin and trembling. "Why don't we just go to bed, Jordan?" she murmured, uncertainty threaded through every syllable. So be it. The decision was mine now. The balance had tipped, and the outcome rested in my hands. Had she suffered enough? I wasn't sure I knew the answer. This story has come to an end. What's your opinion? Share it in the comments, my friend. And if you liked this story, check out other exciting videos on my channel. I'll say goodbye until the next video. See you.